Hi everyone!
Hey everyone!
Hi everyone!
Some of you may wonder, what could be an 11th grader's advocacy? Well, for us, it's harassment. Harassment happens anywhere at any time as we speak. It could happen in many forms and types such as verbal harassment, where threatening words are spoken, physical harassment, where someone is treated badly through physical abuse, sexual harassment, where inappropriate sexual advances are made, gender harassment, where someone is harassed just because of their gender, cyber harassment, where harassment takes place via internet.
Recovery doesn't have a timetable. It's important not to prolong or neglect dealing with the trauma caused by harassment, and it's not always easy to tell someone that you've been harassed. For a survivor, confessing this traumatic experience takes up a lot of courage. Know that I am proud of you for speaking up, and for those who are suffering and crying in silence, I am here for you. We chose this advocacy to spread awareness and to help victims of harassment by raising our voice.
So what is harassment then? Nowadays, harassment happens so commonly as if it's become normalized. It may seem so obvious to any other, but many people only know the word yet do not get its concept or significance of why we should be educated about the subject. This leads to a big ignorance about the topic, which should be addressed accordingly so that we can actually do something to prevent and reduce its consequences. According to the Merriam-Webster, to harass is to create an unpleasant or a hostile situation, especially by uninvited or unwelcome physical or verbal conduct. It simply means that harassment may refer to any actions, physical or verbal, that may make others uncomfortable, distressed, or uneasy. These refer to the wide range of unacceptable behavior, such as domestic violence, cyberbullying, sexual harassment, elder abuse, and many more to mention. Cases may get worse, especially when you consider the harasser's intention, the severity of his action, and the repetition of this unwanted behavior. Harassment must never be normalized nor tolerated. Serious action must be taken in order to ensure that these kinds of acts are tackled and prevented through awareness. Consent should be valued. Permission can always be asked for. It's easy, really. Respect other people's privacy and boundaries as you would want them to do to yours.
How does harassment affect us? Harassment has affected us severely. People are now worrying about how to keep themselves safe from other people. People also make wrong assumptions about other people just because they think they are being harassed. Yes, harassment has affected everyone worldwide, but the victims are the ones who are experiencing the worst hit in this topic. Victims are suffering from depression, anxiety, sleep disorder, headaches, sexual dysfunction, and many more just because they think why such an awful event are experienced by them. Why me? What did I do? How did it get to that point? How did it happen? Are some of the questions they are asking themselves that resulted in those sufferings. It affects the victim of harassment both physically and mentally. It also affects their physical well-being because of the effect of their mental and emotional instability. If a victim constantly remembers what happened to them, they forget to take care of themselves or even choose not to.
So what good would our advocacy do to those affected by harassment? Is this just another one of those typical spreading awareness videos to get grades for an assignment or a project? No, we seek to make a change in the ways that people think. We want our advocacy to reach larger audiences. Through the use of our ICT platforms, we would like to reach out to those affected and give them a voice from this matter. For those who are afraid to stand up for themselves, scared to be made fun of, or be seen as different, we will stand up for them and we will give them a voice to show people that their experiences and opinions matter. We want to educate the people regarding this subject in order to contribute towards the prevention of these violations. As said earlier, harassment can inflict irreversible damage to a person's well-being. possibly causing trauma or even depression. This factor alone gives this issue great importance, which is why we should focus in finding ways in order to aid in the further prevention of these violations, and to give the victims a platform of their own. Set an example by showing them how to express themselves will teach them how to be more open about their experiences by sharing and expressing how they feel, giving them hope and inspiring them.
How do we prevent harassment from happening? Is it even possible to prevent it from happening? No, unless we teach our children while they're still young. We have to stop blaming the victims of harassment for the way they dress or the way they act. We always need to ask for consent. We have to stop assuming that it's okay just because you know each other, just because you're friends, or just because you're close and comfortable with each other. Teach children and educate adults about the reality of harassment. It will never be the victim's fault. It is the one who harassed and the harasser's fault only. Because why would anyone want to be a part of the 81% harassed women and the 43% harassed men? No one. So the only way of preventing things from happening is to stop it by educating people to stop harassment.
Number 1. Make your voice heard and be heard by speaking up. Number 2. Share relevant information and posts with your social media or other platforms to raise awareness and help prevent harassment. Number 3. Participate in your community by volunteering. Become a part of a cause. Participate in programs that raise awareness, encourage prevention, provide assistance for victims to help survivors and the community.
Educating the people won't be easy, as there cannot be any shortcuts or a quick and easy method to teach them. We cannot change overnight, which is why we must take our time to carefully plan and spread awareness about this matter. Taking our time on informing them about what harassment really means will significantly impact their way of thinking, as those uneducated will understand its significance and why it is very important that every human being understands basic respect. Harassment can be avoided, but what we need to develop is the understanding of our community about the various forms and effects of this behavior. One of the major platforms that we can use for this movement is our ICT platforms, specifically the social media. Since our population consists of mostly social media users, utilizing this platform will benefit greatly, as this movement can reach larger audiences, encouraging them to take part and take action. Letting them realize how dire the situation our world is facing right now will encourage them and give them a waking call that they need to change.
Have you ever experienced harassment firsthand? Could be discrimination, physical harassment, cyberbullying, verbal abuse, or sexual harassment. Is it okay to share or do you prefer not?
Naka-experience na ako ng catcall. It is a form of verbal harassment. So, it is uncomfortable, syempre, lalo na pagka ikaw lang mag-isa yung naglalakad sa daan.
What do you think about harassment generally?
I think we are lacking of support from the authorities kasi hanggang ngayon nangyayari pa rin ang victim. Pero I think harassment in general should not be normalized kasi it can inflict trauma to the victim and it can cause depression and anxiety.
Do you think consent is important, especially when talking about sexual harassment?
Definitely, kasi if you do any unwelcome behavior, regardless of your relationship with that person, it is considered harassment.
What ways could we do to help spread awareness or to educate people about this topic?
I think we should give more information regarding this topic so that they can gain more knowledge about it. Tapos, we should also unite kasi if may nakita kang harassment na nangyayari sa paligid mo, you should speak up. Hindi dahil hindi ito nangyayari sa'yo is mananahimik ka na lang.
Have you ever experienced harassment firsthand? Could be discrimination, physical harassment, cyberbullying, verbal abuse, or sexual harassment.
Yes, I have felt harassment before.
Is it okay to share or do you prefer not?
Not
Alright. What do you think about harassment generally?
It sucks. Like, why do you have to do that? Parang, ano kaya yun? Ano yung magigain mo pag nag-harass ka ng isang tao? Wala yun. Bubo lang siya.
Alright. Do you think consent is important, especially when talking about sexual harassment?
Yes, of course, consent. Kung walang consent, ibig sabihin ano na yun, harassment na talaga yun. Kung may consent, actually, depende yan sa age. Kasi kapag bata, tanong mo consent, pumuko siya, siyempre hindi naman valid yun. Dapat more on yung mga legal age, tsaka yung mga may alam na.
Alright. What ways could we do to help spread awareness or to educate people about this topic?
Kung tinatamad ako, more on chikahan lang, ganun, tapos open up about sa harassment yung topic na yun. Kung yun lang yung pwede nating maiambag para magkaroon ng awareness.
Alright. Thank you. Have you ever experienced harassment firsthand? Could be discrimination, physical harassment, cyberbullying, verbal abuse, or sexual harassment.
All of the above pwede.
Is it okay to share or do you prefer not?
It's okay to share po.
Alright.
Should I share my experience?
Yes.
Okay po. Let's start with sexual harassment. When I was buying something sa tindahan, some guy was being creepy about what I was buying. I was buying pads and he suddenly groped me. Okay.
Alright. What do you think about harassment generally?
It's bad.
Do you think consent is important, especially when talking about sexual harassment?
Consent is very important because need mo talaga ng consent from both parties before doing something.
What ways could we do to help spread awareness or to educate people about this topic?
Siguro po we can use the platform of social media to spread information or like some things to guide us from to prevent us from being victims from harassment in general.
Alright. Have you ever experienced harassment firsthand? Could be discrimination, physical harassment, cyberbullying, verbal abuse, or sexual harassment.
No.
What do you think about harassment generally?
It's bad. It's bad.
Alright. Do you think consent is important, especially when talking about sexual harassment?
Yes. Yes.
Alright. What ways could we do to help spread awareness or educate people about this topic?
Pwedeng spread mo yung mga ways na alam mo na pwedeng makatulong sa iba para hindi sila ma-harass. Like or kausapin mo din yung mga na-harass na or kung anong pwede nilang gawin para hindi na ma-harass ulit or labanan nila yun.
Always remember, before we can expect others around us to change, it first starts within ourselves. Set an example for others and be the role model that they look up to so that you can be the reason why they are inspired to be better.